This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Text messages. Yes, this is Bruce in Andover. Brosmer is the backup quarterback tonight. JJ remains the emergency QB. And I did get another question. Let me see here. Jordan, can you explain to me why Wentz doesn't have to be 100% to play, but JJ does? Clearly, Wentz is playing banged up. I think it's a nature of, we saw 2 games, kid hurt his ankle, and the injury thing matters, playing into his availability as part of whatever ability that you think he might have on the field. And I think if Carson is banged up, but he's willing to go, there may still be the belief that, frankly, what if Carson in that room, they still believe that Carson gives them the best chance to win, and that when they roll with J.J. McCarthy, they're going to roll indefinitely. And so if you're going to do so, let's make sure the ankle's 100%. Even though, frankly, 100%, that in itself, he's probably going to be having to deal with just nagging elements of it, maybe for the remainder of the season with how these high ankle sprains typically go. So, yeah, I want him back out there. Don't want to see Carson as the sacrificial lamb, if you will. I just need him to be slightly more accurate than he was on Sunday against the Eagles. And then we should be, I think, potentially in good shape tonight. Some local angle stuff. Somebody asked if Joe Alt's going to play. I think he's Cretin Durham's finest. Joe Alt, high-end draft pick, left tackle. He's been banged up. Everything I've read is that Joe Alt, they're expecting him to play tonight. And in addition, also, the Minnesota connections. How about this? I think Trey Pipkins. Can you verify this for me? Because we're going to get PA here in a couple of minutes. I'm pretty sure that Trey Pipkins went to Apple Valley, and then I think it was Sioux Falls from a college perspective.
You nailed it.
So it was Apple Valley. Okay.
It was.
And then Sioux Falls afterwards?
That's what University of Sioux Falls, yep.
Oh, how about that?
I've always said you're an elite Trey Pipkins mind. He
might play tonight, and he's questionable to go in the game. And then, of course, you got Troy Dye. What up with Troy Dye? He, I believe, is questionable into this game as well. His connection, of course, former Viking. And so some local elements there. But just, again, we just can't escape it. We're busy. We're looking up and down the health situation for the Chargers. We're dealing with a fair amount of that ourselves. Still the news coming out, of course, C.J. Ham with a hand. He's not going to go this evening. Andrew Van Ginkel in the neck. It's kind of weird with the Van Ginkel thing. I remember Daniil Hunter had some sort of tweak in his neck, and it was just something just kind of bubbling around camp. You're not seeing number 99 out there. And then in pretty quick fashion, they ruled him out, and he was gone. And he missed almost the entire season. Did he play even in a game? I forget. I'd have to go back and look. But, now similarly for Van Ginkel here, this lingering neck, they're not putting him on IR. I'm curious how much of this is kind of letting Andrew decide where he's at in concert, of course, with the health group. But how much of this is, do you feel like you're ready to go? And can we have you on the field? And in a short week, I guess, in limited walkthrough like fashion, maybe that doesn't play in with Van Ginkel since, frankly, he hasn't been participating in much for the last several weeks. But getting him back, an absolute A topic indeed. But it's not going to happen tonight. Doesn't mean the Vikings can't win, however. Joining me from Los Angeles, voice of the Minnesota Vikings, host of 9 to Noon. What up, PA? Good morning.
Yo, what's going on there? Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Oh, it's a beautiful day, and it's time for it's a good day for a Vikings victory down at SoFi against the Chargers this evening. Just kind of following the national reporters and the insiders with the injury report and such. This Darisaw thing popping the way that it did yesterday, I can't speak for you, but it kind of shocked me a little bit. He's on a pitch count, Christian is, and then he comes out of the bye. We're thinking, hey, it's full speed, and in fact, it was against the Birds. But then now maybe some lingering knee pain, and he's dicey to go this evening. What's up with our left tackle?
Yeah, from a shocking standpoint, you're not the only one. I was 30,000 feet above the ground when I learned that thing through through my computer. So I guess we're just going to have to do what we've done with the Darisaw situation, when really en masse we didn't know what was happening, and then you would either hear me or somebody on TV say, "Oh yeah, Christian's on a snap count, so here comes Justin School, or here comes Walter Rouse." That I have not been told that. That's certainly not the case this time. So I really. I don't know what's coming tonight exactly. However, when you do hit an injury report on a short week, day before a game after you played all the snaps off an ACL, which took place at the same place last year, well, that's ominous. So that's I've added names to my game calling depth chart, and we'll see which way it goes.
Yeah, get ready potentially for the 16th incarnation of the Minnesota Moving Company, which
That's what it is. That's what it would be, number 16.
Which it's kind of nutty into your 7th game, and they're just kind of plugging those pieces. I mean, you got Brandell and Juergens, who's going to play at center, and then you got Brian O'Neill limited all week. Head coach Chris Cooper, man, they must just be pulling all their hair out, aren't they?
Yeah, because it's been a common thread. I mean, that's assuming that there is some form of change tonight.
Yeah,
now, O'Neill, Brian O'Neill, for him to play the full game last game, that surprised me a little bit, simply because of what he was coming off of before the bye. And I know you had the extra time, but nevertheless, that the brace on his right knee, you could see it underneath the padding of the pants, and it was pretty thick. So. I'm not even sure what he's going to do tonight. But with coaches, is really all they look for is consistency, and all they look for is to be able to settle into something they know is coming. So for instance, if Darisaw practices or doesn't practice during the course of the week, and then all of a sudden it's a scheduled don't practice day or rest day, and then it comes up day before a game on a short week. I can't go. Well, that right there, that throws things, I don't want to say way off, but I mean, it throws things off,
yeah.
and it breaks the continuity of thought and plan and things like that. So that, the 16th iteration, I probably would expect it tonight one way or another, whether it's, School playing left tackle and Rouse playing right, or School or Rouse playing right and Darisaw's part-time or something like that.
On kind of flip siding to the Chargers, PA, it sounds like Joe Alt, and I said earlier, I think he went to Cretin Durham. He went to Totino Grace, the Fighting Lepantas. So go.
Yeah, I wish I had my game calling depth chart in front of me right now. He was 18, 19, 20, and 21 at Totino Grace. What I did was I texted Anthony LaPanta probably 90 minutes before he called the Wild and Devils game, maybe 2.5 hours, because he coaches on that staff. And so Joe Alt was, as a freshman, he played two positions. He was like inside linebacker and quarterback. Then finally, as a junior, they settled in on him offensively, where he was a tight end and an offensive lineman. But he has a really cool story from Totino.
Yeah, and then the local connections, Apple Valley's Trey Pipkins might play tonight. Of course, Troy Dye, we joked about him. From an identity standpoint, PA, this is a Chargers team. When we're thinking about how we get after Herbert and all of that, we can speak to the defense. But offensively, this is a Chargers defense that they can get after the QB a little bit. Khalil Mack's seen better days, but they've given up $140 on the ground over the last 5 games. They're giving it up at 5 a clip in totality through 7. The ability to establish the run tonight potentially with a Jordan Mason and maybe a returning Aaron Jones. Your thoughts on getting after him on the ground?
Well, in totality with the Chargers, I've seen. How am I going to put this? They remind me of the Texans. All right, where they got a lot of shiny toys, they got a lot of speed. They have a quarterback on whom everybody counts. And I mean, shoot, Herbert leads the NFL in passing yards.
Yeah.
But then when you get in there and you watch it or you call it or you're taking it in, it's just not as powerful as it kind of looks either on film or with some statistical wherewithal. So when it comes to what you asked about running, well, I mean, under the assumption that Aaron Jones returns, yes, that would make sense. But now you got to go back to the first topic where it's, you got a running back coming back after a month, and you potentially will have 1, 2, maybe 3 new offensive linemen, or maybe none. So now run how and how often, which means that they will do it, and we don't know what's coming from a running standpoint if they have backup offensive linemen. But having Aaron Jones back if he plays tonight, which I believe he will, brings nothing but speed, brings nothing but a catching element that you don't get with Jordan Mason. Aaron can run away from you where Jordan likes to run over you. And but really, this Darisaw coming up limited on the injury report yesterday just has minds spinning.
Yeah, it absolutely does. From their side, you mentioned Herbert and all those passing yards. Chasing a little bit in that Colts game. I think he went for 400 plus. But what is it? Vidal Sassoon running the ball for them, right? Kamani Vidal, Haskins isn't going to play. Who's actually going to carry the ball for the Chargers tonight?
Yeah, it's Vidal Sassoon, and then behind him we have Ralph Lauren, and I think their fullback's Kenneth Cole. They excuse me. The Demani or Bimani, Kendall, who you just mentioned.
Yeah.
He should get the lion's share. The Hassan cat, who I mentioned yesterday, and you said he might not even play. Well, you're right, he's not. So he's going to be out. They brought in a guy to their practice squad. They have some running backs on their practice squad like Naheem Hines. I don't think anybody wants to use Naheem Hines in a nationally televised game unless it's for punt or kick returns, which, by the way, is really good. He has 4 return touchdowns during his career, Naheem Hines. Who knew? So they're a throw first team. They're the only team in the NFL that has at least 5 guys with at least 20 catches. Can't say that the Chargers have 2 things that I put down on the game calling depth chart that I can't say I've seen in recent memory. One is that at this stage of the season, 5 players who have at least 20 catches. That's pretty good. And then on the other side, Derwin James, their safety and mortality type guy, he leads them in quarterback hits. Are you kidding me?
What?
A safety leads a team in quarterback hits? Yeah, that was I wonder what that looks like when you break it down.
Is this a game where, again, the inability to run the ball, we'll see it, where we spent so much time trying to shut down Saquon? Maybe there's an element that's kind of flipped where we're playing coverage tonight and we're blitzing less, dropping more to make sure that Quentin Johnston doesn't get over the top on us. But this quick passing game that they do with Keenan Allen, you remember Dublin. You were there to see what Rodgers does when he gets that thing out in a second and a half, and just kind of the death of 1,000 cuts. Like, that's something that kind of worries me tonight for a team. These Chargers are one of the best third down offenses in the NFL, and handling that quick passing work is something to focus on.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that because it's a way on a short week, where you have not had requisite time to get ready for a game, as obviously as if it were on a Sunday, to just jab, short, can't stop, chain move. Well, I mean, that frustrates people, and, it keeps people on the field a long time too. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that. Keenan really never has been a guy who catches big time stuff over the top. I think his career long may be a long variety, but he's played so many games that he's going to get 1 or 2 in there.
Probably.
Keenan Allen is 8 catches from setting a Chargers record for the most receptions in the history of the team, passing Antonio Gates. So they're all over that tonight. They're going to put him on that. Johnston is the downfield threat, like you said. McConkey was a really nice hit in the second round last year, but he's exactly the kind of receiver you talked about. And I would not be surprised at all if they did exactly what you said.
These Chargers, for a defense that hasn't found a takeaway in 3 straight games, the Vikings, these Chargers are turning over the ball like nothing these days. 6 picks for Herbert. I think they're averaging, 2-1, 2-2-2. I mean, they have 9 turnovers in their last 5 games. An opportunity for this defense, a little bounce back under the Thursday night lights.
Yeah, see, that's again off what you said earlier about the offensive line. And like if say Darisaw or somebody doesn't play, how that works out. And consistency is just what everybody's looking for. Well, that would be the same thing with the defense. Is the identifiable nature of the defense last year was they pressured the quarterback and the team threw it to us. And that's not happening this year. So therefore the analysis of why it's not happening, I mean, that really, on game day from an inside standpoint, they probably aren't deep diving exactly why it's not happening right now. They just want to make sure it changes tonight.
Right.
But that 3 consecutive games, man, I mean, to go over a month without a takeaway, for a team that did what they did last year with it, that just plays into the middling nature of overall what we've seen this year. And I'd like to see a tip pass at the line of scrimmage. Maybe you get a tip pass at the line of scrimmage and, it goes bounding into the air and somebody picks it off and gets him from like 45. That'd be sweet.
That would be sweet. Time for a few more here with you, Vox. Carson Wentz just kind of, down on, bit of a regression, some inaccuracies on Sunday against the Birds. But, we saw it. The scheme is good. And when the scheme is good, the players are going to be open. So part of finding that identity, the ability to get Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison involved, I feel like those opportunities are going to be there. I got to find some confidence that Carson is going to have a more accurate game than he did 4 days ago.
Well, Chargers are, the greatest rushing team in the history of the NFL, but they really do cover well. Their cornerbacks are pretty sticky from what I hear, and their safeties are pretty much the Derwin James trick is kind of their version of what Flores does with Josh Metellus and Harrison Smith. They're just kind of all over the place, so they're trying to fool you that way. But they're going to be there for Carson, especially with Jalen Nailor. The more I start to watch this back and study it and stuff, the more I'm just recognizing what a lights out season Jalen Nailor is having. I mean, I probably should know this if he's in a contract year or not, but what a lights out season he's having in the run game and getting himself open. It's just been terrific. But then he needs to be found. And that's part of everything that you're talking about now. So Carson's a tough guy. I mean, he's. I didn't realize, really truly what he's playing through with this left shoulder until I got out here. But he's a really, really tough cat, and hopefully he comes through tonight.
Last kind of topic change.
How did the Wolves win? By the way,
the Wolves won they put in. I mean, Jalen Clark's defensive performance in the fourth was fantastic. Then you had they went with a little Bones. How about Bones Highland getting minutes last night? But it was the defensive shutdown, and then Anthony Edwards had 10 points in the final 6-7 minutes of the fourth quarter. He just kind of took over. New franchise high for a season opener is 41 last night. It was just kind of it was kind of impressive where you just felt like they were the better team the whole way, but defensively a little loose early on, and then they shut the door. And while Chauncey Billups, I mean, I don't know if you heard the news this morning, Pierre, maybe you didn't. Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, former Cleveland coach and player Damon Jones, and maybe up to 30 other people have been arrested by the FBI in conjunction with this massive mafia, sports gambling, poker rigging operation. And it's taken the news world by storm this morning. You see anything on that?
Are you kidding me?
No, it's
holy
it's
cow!
crazy,
No, I had not seen that. Thank you for sharing.
But yeah, I don't know. We'll probably find out more information and names later on. But yeah, Chauncey Billups takes the L to
kind of tough to call the right passing game or box and one when the feds are probably in the fifth row just waiting to put you in cuffs after the final buzzer. Holy cow.
Takes the L, and then Cash Patel shows up and puts him in cuffs, and Terry Rozier is at some hotel in Orlando trying to get a pizza like Rashawn Holmes during the COVID year, and they clipped him.
Wow.
So it's kind of a weird morning for news, there's no doubt. But the Wolves look good, man.
That's crazy.
When it counted, fourth quarter in particular, they shut down. I mean, Jeremy Grant got everything he wanted last night. That was annoying. But now it's Luka and company. Are you going to stay around in L.A., maybe catch Wolves and Lakers?
I wish I could. Where we're staying at LA Live, right by Crypto Arena, the Wolves are here. So they're pretty much at the same hotel that we're at, the Ritz-Carlton. They're at the Ritz-Carlton right next to where we are.
Oh, sweet.
So, I'm going to try to hook up with Free and or a Finchy maybe for a sandwich or coffee a little bit before our buses head off to SoFi.
Feeling good about the Wolves. What's one thing you think if it goes according to plan, if KO gets this over on Harbaugh's bunch out west, that we find ourselves 4-3 when we meet again tomorrow morning?
The quick passing game is able to take place in the middle of the field for the Vikings, and they're able to put some guys middle of the field into compromising positions, and they miss tackles like they have for the last month, and you get guys running wild. There maybe is an interception or two from Justin Herbert because he's having to come from behind, and I think tonight, usually these Thursday games, when you lessen the planning and stuff like that, they can just be really sloppy and really low scoring sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying tonight's game's not going to be sloppy, but you definitely have a couple of pissed off teams here who believe that their record should be better than what they are. So it could be a high scoring game this evening. And for that to take place, I just want to see Aaron Jones get out there and, make some Chargers who have looked at film of Mason and Xavier Scott and stuff. They're like, hey, okay. You got us that time. You ain't going to get us next time. We didn't realize how fast you were. But both of these teams are quite middling in that they're making mistakes at the wrong time. They're converting enough third downs to sell that the third down statistical wherewithal is good, but they're not getting the big third downs. I'm intrigued with tonight's game to see what happens.
I love it. Can't wait to hear you and Pete and Ben, and we'll chat in the morning, all right?
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. See ya. See ya.
That's PA from Los Angeles, and there you go. Tonight you'll hear him on the call with Mr. Bursich, Mr. Leber, and his health thing. It continues to be precarious, and the quarterback need him to be more accurate. Might get the running back, so we actually have that cool tandem that we dreamt about earlier in the year, and got to beat the Chargers. And he nailed it right there. The consistency or the consistent inconsistency of both these teams, really, with the turnovers you're seeing from the Chargers over the last 4, inability to stop the run on our side, whether it's mistakes in the QB. We've had an undisciplined, penalty-laden group at times. Whoever finds just a hint or a spark of their true selves, whoever finds a bit of their own identity, tonight, it feels like, is going to find that W. Hope it's our team. Next, let's continue talking Vikings with Ben Leber. Ben Leber also out in Los Angeles, and he's going to be roaming the sidelines for all the sneaky intel during Vikings-Chargers tonight. He's next, 9 to noon. But first, cash giveaway.
The cash thing, the fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks to the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is check. Keyword check, KFAN.com. Keyword check, Nacho Libre.
West, and now, once again, we go back to Los Angeles. The sideline reporter, weekly guest, Twin Cities Live's best, Ben Leber at Nacho Libre via X. How's it going out west, Leber?
Oh, it's going really well, Nordo. I mean, the sun is shining. I've yet to go outside, although I think right after this, our little chat, I'm going to go walk and get a coffee and some breakfast. But my windows are open. It's the sun is shining. It looks like a beautiful day. I can see off in the distance the Hollywood sign staring at me right now. So, life is good right now, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate your honesty yesterday. I'm like, any chance in hell that I could get you at 7 a.m. out there? And, well, here we are an hour and a half later.
Well, the funny thing is, because of the time change, I kind of like naturally woke up around 6, like 5:36 here. And I was like, well, I probably could have jumped on with Nora, but I did force myself to just lay there and just like get, bank some sleep. Because, tonight, not that everybody wants to hear about our schedule, but, tonight we won't get back to MSP at about 4:30 in the morning. So yeah. I'm like, I'm going to log some sleep now because I'm not going to get any sleep tonight.
No, that's all good. And it is kind of nutty with these West Coast trips. I think we're going to Seattle later in the season, so you'll have to deal with it again where, 3.5 hour flight, whatever, but the 2 hours you're losing, time change terrorism, it feels like it's a 6 or a 7 hour affair. But hopefully, team's coming back with a W, and it'll be a positive ride back to MSP. Just in general, I guess to start things, what do you think about the game tonight?
Well, it's obviously a very fascinating game because I think both teams are in search of a lot of things. You're in search of identity. you're in search of reserve players again that can step up in big ways. You're just trying to find your way and just figure out where are we at this point in the season. There's a lot of doubt on their side. I think there's a lot of doubt with Vikings fans right now about what kind of team we have and who's going to be available. So I'm just as curious, when this game starts, who are we going to have in the offensive line? Who are they going to have on the offensive line? How are they going to approach our defense? Are they going to take a page out of what the Eagles did and try to hit us with some big plays over the top, or do they go a different route? So I'm fascinated how this whole game is going to play out.
Yeah, I am too. And just kind of looking back to move forward, because I feel a significant part of Herbert's offense does include stretching it out with Quentin Johnston a little bit. Keenan Allen still getting around, and it feels like he has a career game against us all the time. Ladd McConkey can play, et cetera. You know the names. The listeners know the names. But to that end, like in the Eagles game, it felt like, hey, if the Eagles are going to beat us, they're going to beat us over the top. And under no circumstances will Saquon Barkley be a factor. And in the end, he wasn't. But we can't then offer some of the situations, albeit just a few, but enough to dagger us, what we saw from Devontae Smith having a career game and then A.J. Brown in his 2 touchdowns. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, right? Bad running game and tough situation health-wise with the Chargers rushing attack. We can limit them there and provide some coverage on the back end against these wideouts, can't we?
Well, in theory, yes. But what concerns me is I don't think that we're going to have a hard time stopping the run game. If it was Harris and it was Hampton, back there, the 1-2 punch, I would say, yeah, I think we got to be a little concerned. But given that, it's Vidal and another backup out there, I'm not too worried. Plus, their offensive line's banged up. And honestly, they have not been getting push in their offensive line all season long. So that's been a point of contention with their whole fan base anyway, is just the lack of physicality, the lack of moving the line of scrimmage in the run game. So, we should, in theory, win that battle in the trenches. My concern is if we're gonna mitigate any sort of big plays by their offense, then I would assume that we'd be a little bit more too high safety shell. We're not going to see a lot of safeties rotating in the box to try to stop the run for underneath help. Based on what happened in the last game, the big 79-yarder, I think that we'll say, like, all right, let's make this offense, this Chargers offense, just really have to grind out first downs. And they're not very good in the red zone. That's another area where they struggle. So it's like, okay, if the formula is the whole bend but don't break, 2 high safety looks, all that stuff, don't let any big plays over the top, then what concerns me is Ladd McConkey in the middle of the field and Gadsden in the middle of the field. And Rondé, the tight end, by the way, converted wide receiver, super twitchy. He broke Antonio Gates' rookie receiving record last game. This guy's on a heater right now, and they feel like they have 4 major weapons in the passing game.
Wow.
So what concerns me about the 2 high safety look and the bend but don't break mentality is there are 2 guys that can chew you apart in the middle of the field in that intermediate area, and that's an area of the field that we always struggle in anyway. So it feels like they may have an answer to what we're throwing at them.
And it's so tough watching and you guys all kind of framed it up this way, the second chance opportunities that Jalen Hurts had, buys himself some time. He's so smooth in the pocket. Jalen's good. Herbert similarly can use his legs to create those second opportunities, but you did mention kind of the banged up nature of the Chargers offensive line. Sounds like Joe Alt may play tonight on the left side for the Bolts, but do you anticipate maybe the ability to have a little more success in the pass rush, create some pressure on Herbert to kind of mitigate some of what you were talking about through the air?
Well, it's all about not only just getting Herbert off a spot, it's getting Herbert down. The thing is, Jalen Hurts, his mentality has always been that he will break the pocket sometimes earlier than the offensive line wants, but he wants to buy some time where he doesn't have a bunch of noise in front of him. He wants to get a clean pocket where nobody's in front of him, but he doesn't necessarily want to run. He just wants to give himself a clean vision down the field. Well, you look at Justin Herbert, and he's a little different in the fact that he wants to run. If he breaks the pocket, he gone. And he's going to use his big frame and that speed that he's got to pick up first downs. So much so that he's got a league best 11.9 yards per scramble. Per scramble. Like, this guy's putting his head down. He's going forward. He leads the league right now in rushing yards per game for quarterbacks. So I think that's going to actually be a big part of his game, is no matter if we get pressure on him or not, we got to be able to get him on the ground when he breaks the pocket. And if that means on third downs that we got to have a spy guy, somebody dropping out, or, we got to have Cash that sits in the middle of the field to chase him down, then so be it. But I just don't want him to hurt us by breaking outside the pocket and picking up first downs with his legs.
Time for one or two more for you here. Ben Leber, thanks again for your time, by the way, brother. Is there anything that gives you confidence in terms of looking back at the Eagles game? I call it a regression, call it whatever you will, with Carson, and just the inaccuracy and some of those moments in the game, decision-making wise, et cetera. That's one we, thankfully on a short week, we don't have much time to think about it. But is there something that lends you confidence that KO's going to scheme these guys open again, and Carson just needs to hit him this time? And can it be that simple?
It can be that simple, and I think that you look at the pressure that was garnered and the inaccuracies that you saw. We were going against, a defensive front that was much more formidable than they're going to face tonight. I mean, they've had some struggles getting after the passer. They have not, necessarily found the edge rushers that they want. We know Mac is not the player that he used to be, and he's coming back from that arm injury and all that other stuff. So I don't think that we're going to be facing the heat in the passing game like we did last week. And so that being said, when you look at some of the conceptual things that were drawn up, those things were there. There were some big hits there. I mean, even you go back to the Jordan Addison big play down the right sideline against the Eagles sideline in the first part of the first quarter. There was a hole shot that he threw. If that ball's thrown a little more accurate, that's a touchdown. And it wasn't. So it's like, yeah, he still has to deliver that accurately, but conceptually, these shots are there. There's another one that he had Addison in the flat that he threw behind him. Had he thrown that, on target on his numbers, that's possibly a touchdown. You take away the phantom hold that we had to Naylor's touchdown. I mean, it's a whole different ball game, and we're looking at this offense a little bit differently. We're looking at, the way Carson played a little bit differently. The interception, the pick six that he threw, that was just good on them. I mean, they dropped out a defensive lineman to play the middle hole in a man defense. Didn't see him. Took a shot right in the ribs when he threw the ball. Like, I don't think those things are going to happen against this defense. This defense has been struggling a little bit. They're not happy with the way the defense has been playing, and so I think that we have the weapons to take them down.
That's awesome. Appreciate you giving me some time, man, and can't wait to hear you on the call tonight.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Thank you. One. That's Ben Leber, sideline analyst, and of course, weekly guest 9 to noon. You hear him on the Power Trip. You see him on Twin Cities Live, and you'll hear him once again tonight on the sidelines at SoFi. Vikings and Chargers. We're going to return Vikings NFL-related conversation, final hour, about 15 minutes from now. Charch, we're going to do some fantasy and reality with Mr. Charchian, and then Alec Lewis of The Athletic around 11:25. But some news is next on the Fan. News de Nord brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. The ability to feel the felt. Poker, blackjack, and table games all year round. Having sips at chips. There's a live racing in the mix, of course, next spring. But in the meantime, NFL Pro Pick'em Challenge on Thursdays at Canterbury. You just head on down to Shakopee, your favorite spot, Canterbury. Make your picks in terms of who's going to win and lose in the NFL schedule this weekend. You might win some walking around money, but at the end of the year, somebody's going to get free fuel for a year thanks to Quick Trip. So thank you, Quick Trip. Thank you, Canterbury. Where are we headed to first, Brad?
Let's go here.
Number 1.
It wasn't a sellout tonight at Prudential Center, but those that are still here Salute their side. Devils have won 6 in a row overall since dropping their opener to the Carolina Hurricanes. They're now 6-1-0 on the season. They won both games against the Wild last year. This one somewhat convincing as New Jersey prevails over Minnesota, a 4-1 final at Prudential Center.
What happened, Brett?
Yeah, well, it just felt like it took a while for them to really turn on. If you look at just the shots, I mean, 8-14 in the first, 11-11 in the second, and then 12-10 in favor of the Wild in the third. So it took them just a while to feel like they got their feet under them. I don't know if it's a long road trip, but you also heard the Devils are red hot as well. Some of the goals were somewhat questionable. They thought could have been stops. But they really didn't get buzzing until Boldy scored his goal, and it felt like they were kind of getting some momentum and chances, but it was too little too late. Empty netter for Brett seals it. So a 4-1 your final. The Wild, they're just playing okay right now. They're not playing horrible, and there's moments where they look really good, but I wouldn't say they're playing lights out either. They're just okay right now.
Is it just hanging on because of injury? You think they need to mix some things up a bit? Gus, I mean, where's your head at on the hockey team?
I mean, I think they could split Gus and Wallstedt evenly at this point. That could be an overreaction at this stage. But, I mean, okay. Rossi on the second line with Tarasenko and Johansson is fine. I think you could elevate Yurov a little bit. I thought he's starting to build a little bit of confidence. But, again, when you have some of the injuries, and, Nico Sturm could really help out. Zuccarello obviously could really help out. And then Bogosian being out, I feel like maybe the fatigue of the road trip, I could fire up the excuse computer, but I just think the reality is they're just not playing all that great right now.
All right, well, 6-game homestand, I believe, around the corner for them, featuring, it's not Utah Hockey Club, I believe it's the Mammoth.
The Mammoth.
In town, early evening affair Saturday, 5 p.m. at Grand Casino Arena. All sorts of name changes that I got to keep up with. The Mammoth, Grand Casino Arena, 5 p.m. on Saturday. Go Wild. They'll bounce back. Where to next?
Number 2.
But the other winter sports team, your Wolves, they're 1-0 this season. A 118-114 win in Portland against the Blazers. Let's see, the leader in points, Julius Randle with 19. Jane McDaniels with 18.
Well, hang on.
Oh, wait, hang on. It's Anthony Edwards. I didn't read down the score sheet.
You just got to get a little bit farther down the box score, though.
Yep, the box score, though.
41, new franchise record in an opener for the Howl. That's fine. You can just admit that you watched the hockey game, you listened to the hockey game with Joe and Tom.
Hang on.
And then you just turned it off. So, okay.
Your Minnesota Timberwolves 1-0, 118-114 the win in Portland against the Blazers. Anthony Edwards led the way. He was unbelievable, 41 points. The next highest was Julius Randle with 19. Quite the scale. So good performance from the Wolves. It was close during the first half. That's when I had it on. Go Wolves. 1-0.
Yeah, It felt like they were always the better team, but man, I mentioned it with PA. Jeremy Grant was getting everything he wanted. He had almost 30 last night. I was kind of getting frustrated with the defense, specifically earlier in the game, but fourth quarter they clamped down, man, and you got to see Jalen Clark out there making plays. Terrence Shannon, come on with this kid. I love him, and he played some big minutes last night. No Dillingham. The natives are restless. And I think Finch mentioned actually choosing Bones for some size, specifically against Portland last night. I think that's okay with how the Blazers are built. But frustrating in a single game in some ways to be chasing a 30-win team all night. But opening nights are weird. So Anthony was clutch when he needed to be, and he just kind of took things over at the end, and the Howl get the W. And then, I wonder, Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Blazers, or at least he was last night. Now he's in FBI custody. And apparently he was luring people to play big stakes poker games, and they were using some form of X-ray-like technology or rigged shuffling machines. And then this money went into the pockets of the mafia. How is Chauncey Billups captured by the mafia? I want to know this. Hopefully we continue to find out more information later. Wolves at the Lakers tomorrow night. That's going to be sweet. Getting to see a little Luka, a little LeBron, and how we stand up against far better competition mañana. Maybe one more?
Number 3.
Well, that's where I was going to head to, so we'll skip over that. We'll go Loons. You heard a couple commercial breaks ago. They're in the playoffs. And
yeah, let's go.
They're playing Seattle in what is described as the best 2 out of 3. I just wanted to say, it took us 15 minutes of research to figure out how the MLS playoff structure works. It's so confusing, and it just seems backwards because in the first round, it's a best 2 out of 3, and the rest of the way, it's a best of 1. It's just single elimination. You would think it would be the other way of getting a best 2 out of 3 in the finals. It'd be the same time frame, or you just go the soccer way and be true to Europe and the rest of the biggest leagues of the world and go home and away every single round except for the final. That's how they would do it.
Maybe do aggregate goals.
Yes, exactly.
Well, the best of 3, and then you get out of the best of 3, and then it's single elimination the rest of the way. But here's the deal. We are Loons calling. We are Scarves Up starting Monday. You're going to hopefully see our guy Dane St. Clair and the Loons handle business. That would be leg 1 of a best of 3. And then it'll go to Seattle, and if they need the rubber match, it will be back here at Allianz Field. So looking forward, hopefully, to the Loons advancing to eventually single elimination matches, all part of the MLS Cup 2025 edition. Let's do this. Let's pause, and then we're going to jump in not just to the Vikings, but also some fantasy football. We're taking you to church, as we do on Thursdays at 11. News to Nord brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park. Nord to win for PA. It's the Fan.